we need to write these decimals as mixed numbers. So first, we have 5.4. Remember, the digit before the decimal point is the ones digit, so that tells us how many ones or wholes we have, and then the digit after the decimal point is the tenths digit. So if we have one digit after the decimal point, what we can do is draw a line across from the decimal point and write a denominator of 10. So 5.4 is 5 and 4 tenths as a mixed number. Now we have 5.04. Remember, the second digit after the decimal point is the hundredths digit. So if we have two digits after a decimal point, what we can do is draw a line across from the decimal point and write a denominator of 100. So 5.04 is the same as 5 and 4 hundredths. Now 5.004. The third digit after the decimal point is the thousandths digit. So if we have three digits after the decimal point, we can draw a line across from our decimal point and write a denominator of 1,000. So 5.004 is the same as 5 and 4 thousandths. So notice, when there was one digit after the decimal point, we drew a line across with a denominator of 10, so 10. When there were two digits after the decimal point, the denominator was 100, so 2 zeros. And when there were three digits after the decimal point, we drew a line across and our denominator was 1,000, so 3 zeros. Now we have 6.24. There's two digits after the decimal point, so we can draw a line across and write a denominator of 100, so 2 zeros. So 6.24 is 6 and 24 hundredths. Now 7.024. There are three digits after the decimal point, so we can draw a line across and write a denominator of 1,000, so 3 zeros. That means 7.024 is 7 and 24 thousandths. We're ignoring the zeros on the start when we write our numerator, because we don't have zeros at the start of whole numbers. And though our numerator isn't really a whole number, we don't need to write 7 and 024 over 1,000. We can just write 7 and 24 over 1,000. Finally, we have 7.124. Again, there's three digits after the decimal point. We know the third digit is the thousandths digit, so we can draw a line across from our decimal point and write a denominator of 1,000. So that's 7 and 124 thousandths. Let's take a closer look at some of these questions. So we had 7.024. Because there were three digits after the decimal point and our third digit after the decimal point is the thousandths digit, we wrote a denominator of 1,000, so got 7 and 24 thousandths. We can see why this works if we think about the place values in the number 7.024. That's 7 wholes, we don't have any tenths, we have 2 in our hundredths and 4 in our thousandths. Now, the 7 wholes can stay the same, but instead of writing 2 hundredths, we can write 20 thousandths. These fractions are equivalent because we can use multiplication to find equivalent fractions, and 100 times 10 is 1,000. What we do to the denominator, we do to the numerator as well, and 2 times 10 is 20. So then, if we add the 4 thousandths, we still have 7 wholes, but we have a common denominator. So that stays the same in our answer, and 20 plus 4 is 24. So that's why we can write 7.024 as 7 and 24 thousandths. It's because the 2 in our hundredths is equivalent to 20 thousandths, and putting that together with the 4 thousandths gives us 24 thousandths in our mixed number. Then we had 7.124. So again, let's think about the place values. We have 7 ones, 1 tenth, 2 hundredths, and 4 thousandths. So the 7 can stay the same, but 1 tenth is equivalent to 100 thousandths. That's because 10 times 100 is 1,000 and 1 times 100 is 100. Then, instead of 2 hundredths, we can think of that as being 20 thousandths. They're equivalent because 100 times 10 is 1,000, and what we do to the denominator, we do to the numerator, and 2 times 10 is 20. So we can add our 4 thousandths, and that gives us 7 wholes, but now we have a common denominator. So that stays the same in our mixed number, and 100 plus 20 plus 4 is 124. So we can write 7.124 as 7 and 124 thousandths, because 1/10 is equivalent to 100 thousandths, and 2 hundredths is equivalent to 20 thousandths, and when we put those together with our 4 thousandths, we get 124 thousandths. So let's take a closer look at 7.024. That's 7 ones, 0 tenths, 2 hundredths, and 4 thousandths. But that's the same as 7 and 24 thousandths, because remember, each of these hundredths can be exchanged for 10 thousandths, so that gives us 24 thousandths in our mixed number. And let's look at 7.124. That's 7 ones, 1/10, 2 hundredths, and 4 thousandths. How is that equivalent to 124 thousandths? Well, what we can do is exchange 1/10 for 10 hundredths. That gives us 12 hundredths, but we can exchange each of these hundredths for 10 thousandths, and when we do that with all 12 of our hundredths, that gives us 124 hundredths altogether.